This video is to discuss the buyer groups in TrackDrive. Um, TrackDrive is so flexible with the team permissions where you can invite people to collaborate with you that many people on TrackDrive will have resellers on their system, actually bringing in their buyers on their system, letting them have a whole bunch of buyers, but putting them all into a buyer group, and then turning on the team permissions to have a whole bunch of flexibility to edit those buyers that reseller owns. Another reason that people have buyer groups is you may have a buyer that has 5 call centers, and he's wanting you to fill up their calls based on how many calls they can handle and whatnot, but you want to create a buyer group, one for capping. That buyer maybe gives you $5,000 for all 5 of his call centers, or perhaps just for reporting reasons, so that when you're looking at the calls, you can say, show me all the calls for this buyer group. So I'm going to do a new buyer group here, and I'm going to name it Test Buyer Group. And I just simply pick all the buyers. So I click on the buyer, click on the buyer. If I had more buyers for this group, I just keep clicking. And then in here, I can set some caps. Typically, you might set only the total cap. This guy gave me $3,000 for calls. As soon as these 2 buyers combined pay me, we are going to end up with out of money for that buyer group, and both buyers on this group would stop getting calls. So you have your caps here, and we have our hourly capping. Typically with a buyer group, you're going to handle the concurrency cap in the individual buyer records. You may have a concurrency cap in here saying, hey, even though each buyer added up could take 100 calls CC, I'm going to give the group a total of 20 max for the entire group. So very flexible in here, but many reasons to have a buyer group. So depending on what you're doing with your system, you may need to use buyer groups.